Hello and welcome. This is Eagle News. I'm David Oria in Washington. It's May 27th, the last Saturday of the month 2023 here in the nation's capital. The week's recap begins with the World Health Organization's first ever report of its kind, outlining a new path to reorient economies across the globe. This to deliver what matters, health for all. Rose Papaangelis has the details.
The WHO Council on the Economics of Health for All puts forward a new narrative to reorient economies on delivering health for all across four interrelated themes: valuing and measuring what matters through new economic metrics, financing health for all as a long-term investment and not a short-term cost, advancing health innovation for the common good, and strengthening dynamic public sector capacity to achieve health for all. Launched in conjunction with the 76th World Health Assembly, the report provides a new framework built on these four pillars. The landmark report is called Health for All, Transforming Economies to Deliver What Matters. WHO Chief Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus says this is a roadmap for structuring economic activity in a way to reach the goal of seeing all people with access to essential health services faster with better results. From Washington, D.C., Rose Papaangelis, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
The Veterans Affairs Department is partnering with over 1,000 local community coalitions. Their goal? End veteran suicide. Bernadette Rugini tells us more.
One suicide will always be one too many, and it will take all of us working together to end veteran suicide. This is the call of Veteran Affairs Secretary Dennis McDonough as the VA announces it is working with over 1,000 community-based coalitions to support veterans at risk of suicide all across America. These coalitions reach more than 7.5 million veterans nationwide. Combined with clinical intervention strategies, the VA says these coalitions help reduce the risk of suicide by providing veterans with tailored resources and direct support in the communities where they work and live. Data reveals that veteran suicides decreased from 2019 to 2020, and fewer veterans died by suicide in 2020 than in any year since 2006. If you're a veteran in crisis or concerned about one, contact the Veterans Crisis Line to receive 24/7 confidential support. To reach responders, dial 988, then press 1 or chat online at veteranscrisisline.net/chat or text 838-255. Bernadette Rugini, Virginia Beach, Virginia, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
In other news, Canada's Federal and National Police Service, more popularly known as the Mounties, is celebrating its 150th anniversary. Chantel Santos tells us more.
This past Tuesday marked the 150th anniversary of the Northwest Mounted Police, which is now known as the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, or the RCMP. The RCMP is Canada's National Police Service, globally recognized for their police excellence and the iconic Mountie image. The RCMP's purpose is to prevent crime and enforce the law in the provincial, territorial, and federal levels. Currently, there are 30,000 RCMP employees across Canada. On Tuesday, the Department of Canadian Heritage unveiled 500 new banners along the Confederation Boulevard in Ottawa. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau issued a special statement Tuesday to commemorate the event by acknowledging the errors of the past that cannot be forgotten, and RCMP's efforts to support healing and reconciliation. The RCMP played a role in enforcing attendance at residential schools and stopping Indigenous uprisings. Vision 150, RCMP's modernization plan, aims to put people first and improve accountability that help lessen systemic racism and gender-based discrimination. Chantel Santos, Toronto, Ontario, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Several stories from Thomas Likeness today. From brain and spine implants allowing a paralyzed man to walk again, to a 3D printer building a school in Ukraine, to Dandelions taking over a stage at a flower show in London. All these and more on Correspondent at Large.
And now news and commentary from around the globe. Some breaking medical news, and this gives hope to people who are paralyzed and cannot walk. A gadget called a wireless digital bridge has been developed by scientists in Switzerland. It restores communication between the brain and spinal cord in patients who have suffered a traumatic spinal cord injury. Now, for 40-year-old Gert Jan Oskam, it's the difference between getting around in a wheelchair or regaining control over his paralyzed legs. You see, 10 years ago, after breaking his neck in a traffic accident in China, Oskam was paralyzed. Now, after having electrodes implanted in his brain and spine, he can move his legs. He can even climb stairs. Now, the movements aren't swift or smooth, but as improvements are made, that will likely come. And of course, things will be miniaturized. This invention gives hope not only to those who are paralyzed from spinal injuries, but also to perhaps stroke patients. We look forward to future developments. When you see a construction site, you don't expect to see a printer putting up a building, do you? But in war-torn Ukraine, a school is being built by a 3D printer. This robot you see here on the screen is pouring layers of concrete for a school that will eventually accommodate 100 students. Jean-Christophe Bonny says they're using a 3D printer because time is of essence.
We are here on a big challenge in Ukraine because we need to be able to build faster, and we are using 3D printing technology because we can build 10 times faster facilities, huge one. You see here you have a robot, and this robot can use concrete, traditional concrete, and we build this building here in 3 days.
Well, he says the school is the biggest one in the world that has been printed. The full building will take about 3 weeks to complete. The injuries look real. The response is real, but it's all a simulation, and it's in preparation for next year's Olympics in Paris. Hundreds of people are practicing skills they hope they don't have to use. They're preparing for possible disasters that may occur during the Games. Now, in this simulation, they're responding to the collapse of a 15,000-seat stand at an arena. More than 300 first responders from several different services took part in the training, and about 150 volunteers played the part of injured victims. Makeup provided a realistic look, and some even hammed it up, faking screams of pain. Organizers used mannequins to represent deceased victims. And as we said at the outset, they hope they don't have to use these skills. And what kind of a flower show is this? Dandelions and other weeds taking center stage at London's Chelsea Flower Show. Award-winning landscaper Clive West says gardeners have to be more concerned about biodiversity, and he says that means instead of killing weeds, incorporating them into their designs. West says people have to change their attitude toward weeds.
I think I'm asking people to maybe look at weeds in a different way and try and be more tolerant of them because they're very good for wildlife and biodiversity. And we're at a very critical stage in our history. Biodiversity loss or biodiversity collapse is a very real threat.
West incorporated 19 weed species into the design of this garden here for the Centrepoint Association. But I think it's going to be a while before the folks in my neighborhood begin to embrace incorporating weeds into their landscaping. I'll be back in 7 days, and in the meantime, I wish you all peace, joy, and happiness in the ensuing week. Thomas I. Likeness, Correspondent at Large, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
Addressing energy security, Papua New Guinea's Prime Minister touts renewable energy before representatives to the India-Pacific Islands Forum. Echo Ortaleza Quinola on Oceania at a Glance.
Prime Minister James Marape presents the renewable energy development option to the Pacific leaders at a state dinner he hosted. New Zealand Prime Minister Chris Hipkins is also in attendance. Marape is keen about the development of energy and power supply for Papua New Guinea and the Pacific. He underscores the importance of linking the Pacific countries to International Finance Corporation, a part of the World Bank Group. Marape also says focusing on the private sector in emerging markets would be of great remedy.
As we converse with India, let's inform them we need those who have big carbon footprints. Maybe assist us find solutions for green energy source, cheaper energy source.
Energy security has always been a big issue in these island nations. The Pacific Forum is the most opportune time to present solutions. Eko Hortaleza Quinola, Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea. Eagle News, we live in extraordinary times.
Still in Papua New Guinea, the country and New Zealand renew their commitment in supporting small and medium-sized businesses as well as those owned and operated by women entrepreneurs. Echo again for the details.
Prime Minister Chris Hipkins, Port Moresby Governor Powes Parkop, and City Manager Raul Frank visit the Gordon's Market. The visit aims to open wider avenues for agriculture, small and medium-sized enterprises, and trade relationship between New Zealand and Papua New Guinea.
The New Zealand government and New Zealand people have touched the heart of Papua New Guineans in the right place. Market is the heartbeat of our people, particularly women who dominate the market.
Constructed in 2019, the modernized Gordon's Market in Port Moresby is a hub for local farmers and vendors. Funding for the market comes from Papua New Guinea's National Capital District and New Zealand.
And it's great to come and visit Gordon's Market because it does, in my view, represent so much about the relationship between our two countries. It's been a great source of pride for New Zealand to be able to support the development of this market and other markets throughout PNG, because we are both trading countries, countries that produce things and sell them, and that's how we make our living.
The public market is a major contributor to the capital city's economic growth. It is also a partner of SMEs owned and operated by women. Both nations believe that investing in city markets are vital and beneficial to self-sustaining communities.
It's a great privilege and an honour for me to be here with you. And so again, I'll end in the native language of New Zealand. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Thank you.
Eko Hortaleza Quinola, Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea. Eagle News, we live in extraordinary times.
Here in the country, with drug overdose persisting as a major public health issue, the Food and Drug Administration approves the first nasal spray against opioid overdose. Rosel Feria on Health is Wealth.
Opvee, the first nalmefene hydrochloride nasal spray for the emergency treatment of known or suspected opioid overdose in adults and pediatric patients 12 years and older, gets the green light from the Food and Drug Administration. This is the first FDA approval of nalmefene hydrochloride nasal spray for healthcare and community use. The FDA says if administered quickly, the nasal spray can reverse the effects of opioid overdose. The reversal includes respiratory depression, sedation, and low blood pressure. The health agency's commissioner says the availability of this opioid receptor antagonist places a new prescription opioid reversal option in the hands of communities, harm reduction groups, and emergency responders. In the U.S., more than 103,000 reported fatal overdoses occurred in the 12-month period ending in November 2022. These are primarily driven by synthetic opioids like illicit fentanyl. Rosel Feria, Washington, D.C., Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
A recent study finds that ultrasound therapy may help in reducing hypertension. How? Anna Kui reports.
High blood pressure or hypertension is often called the silent killer because some people who have it can go without any symptoms. The CDC says that almost half of all adults in the United States have high blood pressure, but only a quarter of them have it under control. And uncontrolled hypertension can lead to heart disease, stroke, and kidney damage. Doctors often prescribe exercise, a healthy diet, especially reduced salt intake combined with medication therapy for patients who have high blood pressure. A study conducted by researchers at Columbia University and University of Paris, France, used an ultrasound device to help lower blood pressure. The goal is to calm overactive nerves in the kidneys, which may cause high blood pressure in several ways. It can trigger water and salt retention and release hormones that increase blood pressure. While there are different types of antihypertensive drugs that target these specific causes, none target the overactive nerves in the kidneys. The researchers found it consistently reduced daytime ambulatory blood pressure by an average of 8.5 points in middle-aged people with hypertension. The study, published in JAMA Cardiology, tested a device which was done in an outpatient procedure called ultrasound renal denervation. Study results from 3 randomized trials making up more than 500 middle-aged patients with varying degrees of hypertension and medication use showed twice as many patients who received the therapy reached their blood pressure goals of less than 135/85. The device has not yet been approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration for use outside of clinical trials. The technology, however, has been available in Europe. Once approved and available here in the U.S., those who led the study say it can be offered to patients as an additional treatment option, especially those who have tried and failed other therapies first. Anna Kui, Las Vegas, Nevada, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
May is Mental Health Awareness Month. The National Alliance of Mental Illness and the City of Corpus Christi, Texas, joins the celebrations by holding a month-long campaign involving the community in promoting mental health. Jane Kathleen Gregorio reports.
In honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, the National Alliance of Mental Illness of Greater Corpus Christi, also known as NAMI GCC, launched several events in its mission to provide support for those suffering from mental illness as well as their families. To kick off the month-long campaign, members of NAMI GCC took a 4-hour bus ride to the Texas State Capitol Day rally in Austin to join other NAMI chapters across the state of Texas in rallying for legislators to pass bills to improve mental health care.
So there was almost 300 people from throughout the state of Texas gathering on the Capitol steps. They all had these signs and we were holding up, and we heard from a lot of different representatives and senators on some of these bills that they're working toward. We spoke to several of our legislators, Todd Hunter's office and Chewy Hinahos's office and some others. The people need to know that we have a voice, our voice matters, and our story matters.
This is my final year as Miss Texas, and I just want to spread the message and bring awareness to mental health. So today's rally was really important because we've learned that Texas is last when it comes to mental health reform. So us being there today makes a big difference, not only for us as NAMI Greater Corpus Christi, but NAMI Texas as a whole.
In addition to the Capitol Day rally, NAMI GCC also partnered with other organizations and held local events which included representing the downtown Corpus Christi Art Walk, announcing proclamations for mental health awareness at the County Commissioner's Court, supporting the placement of suicide prevention signs along the Harbor Bridge, and hosting its first annual Celebrity Jeopardy fundraiser that included the Corpus Christi Mayor Paulette Guajardo, singer Clarissa Serna, and meteorologist Alan Holt, with Clarissa Serna declared as the champion.
Grateful that mental health has been on the spotlight from children to adults and all in between, and that mental health does not discriminate. It ranges from every ethnicity and whatever background.
By promoting awareness, education, and support, NAMI GCC hopes to help improve the lives of individuals and families affected by mental illness. In Corpus Christi, Texas, I'm Jane Kathleen Gregorio, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
You probably know someone who shares their Netflix account. Maybe you're the one borrowing one. In this segment of Mind Your Business, Bobby Soriano reports on how Netflix is looking to end password sharing.
Do you share your Netflix account with a friend or maybe a relative not living with you? Well, Netflix is putting a stop to that as the company has officially expanded its crackdown on users sharing their password. The company confirmed in a statement that a Netflix account is for use by one household and will be expanding their policy of not allowing users to share their password to over 100 markets, including the United States and Canada. The policy change is intended to shore up the company's main revenue source. As of the end of Q1 2023, Netflix had over 232.5 million paying subscribers globally, making it the largest streaming television service in the world. But it also reported more than 100 million households were sharing accounts at the service, which led to impacting their ability to invest in great new TV and films. It wasn't clear in their announcement how Netflix will enforce the new password-sharing crackdown, but by expanding their policy, the company hopes revenue will increase by the number of users who will be forced to sign up for their own account. Netflix has experimented with borrower or shared accounts in which subscribers can add extra users for a higher price or transfer viewing profiles to separate paying accounts. These account types will be expanding to most of its markets to give more options for subscribers to sign up. Subscriber growth has slowed considerably since the pandemic, when households had no real option for entertainment outside of their home. Competition for viewers has also increased with the rollout of streaming services by Amazon, Paramount, Comcast, and Warner Bros. Discovery, owner of HBO. But Netflix is confident that their original programming and movies will be enough to keep users from canceling that monthly fee. Bobby Soriano, New York, New York. Eagle News, we live extraordinary times.
In an effort to help reduce new skin cancer cases, the state of Pennsylvania is offering free sunscreen stations at its parks. Mila Simbulan on Community Care.
Did you know that there's a National Sunscreen Day? The Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources announces expansion of a program offering visitors free sunscreen at state park, beaches, and swimming pools. The free event runs throughout Pennsylvania ahead of May 27, National Sunscreen Day. Pole-mounted battery-operated dispensers supplying 30-plus SPF Bright Guard sunscreen applications will be positioned at 46 state parks across Pennsylvania. Experts say daily application of sunscreen with a sun protection factor or SPF of 30 or higher can aid in prevention of skin cancer. Health officials report 1 in 40 Pennsylvanians will be diagnosed with melanoma in their lifetime. In the country, more than 8,500 Americans are diagnosed with skin cancer each day. Mila Simbulan, Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
After being shelved for 3 years due to the pandemic, one annual celebration of strawberries has returned with the same crowd favorite strawberry-themed food and attractions. This time, however, at a new spacious venue. In Ventura, California, Alan and Ava with the report.
Soil, climate, geography, and support of the local government are some of the factors which makes Ventura, California the perfect region for growing the county's most lucrative cash crop, strawberries.
In 2021 alone, it was estimated that strawberries raked in over $700 million. And to celebrate the literal fruit of their labors, organizers set up the Ventura County Fairgrounds with strawberry-themed attractions centered around this delicious red fruit.
We have 150 arts and crafts. We have over 60 food and beverage vendors. There are 4 strawberry growers. There are carnival rides. We have the Ninja Nation obstacle course. What makes us different from all the other fairs people go to is that these are mom and pop and nonprofit organizations like youth football teams and marching bands and things like that. We keep the booth rental cost to a minimum just to cover our cost and overhead so that all the nonprofit organizations and businesses can earn a decent living.
California grown strawberries, they're so sweet. The whole environment that they have here, the music, the arts and crafts, everything is just a fun experience. And I think the energy, everyone's having fun, everyone's eating, everyone's full and happy.
The energy of the people here at the event is very positive. Everybody seems very friendly so far. We just got here not too long ago, but we feel it's very welcoming and it's also very family friendly.
Los Angeles is a big city with a lot of opportunities, but when you start stepping away from the big city and into the surrounding counties, you find that it's slower paced, it's easier for families, you have more room to do things. And Ventura has always been a nice quiet town by the beach, so it's really a great place to have anything. Shortcake is delicious by itself, but when you add that right amount of strawberry, you know, that sweetness and that healthiness and that just the strawberry essence, if you will, it just makes it that much better.
While it's true that most of the food and drink options here are packed with sweetness, visitors still have access to plenty of dining choices.
Still, when at a strawberry celebration of this magnitude, you want to do yourself a favor and make sure to take a break with strawberry shortcake.
Eva Allen, Ventura, California, Eagle News. We live in extraordinary times.
As always, before we let you go, here's our photo of the week. This tulip field is photographed by Jade Rios at the TASC Tulip Pick Farm in Fenwick, Ontario, Canada. Lovely colors. Thank you all for joining us again. If there are stories or topics you want us to share with you, just comment below. View, like, share our other shows. City Limits with Alan Basalyahe. Connected with Dr. David. Take a Seat and Join Us with Anna Quee. Plate Date with Mike Hudson and Friends. Plus, Journey, Stories of Filipinos Abroad with Kathleen Cruz. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at Eagle News Live. I'm David Oria. We live in extraordinary times. Happy weekend, everyone.